I don't think I've seen any other channel go over step by step exactly how to do this. Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm Chris, this is Salty Trip channel, and today we are going to go over step by step how to install the Multiplus II 2x120 in parallel. So stick around, check it out. All right, so after we get all this installed, we're going to go over one big major safety factor you're going to have to consider when you're doing your build, whether you're going to go this route or not. So there's something you really got to pay attention to, and we'll discuss that at the end. All right, guys, as you can see, we've already done, but I'm going to take you through every step of how I got this put together. I'm going to preface this with, I'm not a professional. This is not a how-to. This is a how we did it. Do your research like I did myself and do your due diligence. I'm going to show you how we did it and exactly how we get it working. So we'll get to it, and then we'll meet back here when we're all done. All right, so one of the difficult parts about, well, not super difficult, but the things you have to do when you run two inverters in parallel, you have to take the wire that comes from shore and divide it into two that go into one to each inverter, and then go from one to each inverter back out into another junction box that connect to the wire going to your breaker box. So you'll need some 6/4 cable, which is, this is for a 50 amp, 6 gauge, which has 4 wires in it. You know, the red is and black are the L1 and L2, the 50 amp circuits going in, and then you have a green for ground and a white for neutral. So, but the thing is, well, how do you combine those? Well, I figured out what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these Dinkle connectors, which is pretty cool because they have these little jumper boxes. So like one will go in and you can have 2 going out. So, and I'll explain that. And I got these 6x6 boxes at Home Depot, and I just got to cut some holes in it to have, you know, the line going in from shore, and then I'll have 2 going out, 1 to each inverter for in, and then another one where going from the inverter, 2 going in, connecting in there, and then 1 going out. So, but me being a little anal about this is I ordered a pack with white and black, and then I ordered another pack with black and red, and I went and ordered some extra green ones too. So we'll be able to, you know, just give a visual of what wire goes in where. We're going to have black L1, green ground, we'll go red L2, and then white neutral. So we'll do them in that order, and then we'll get them mounted in the box, and I'll show you how that's going to turn out. Well, after apparently trying to slide them on, these things just snap on and off. I didn't realize that. It's the first time I've ever used these, but somebody suggested this online, and so that's pretty easy to put together. Then now you have L1 ground, L2 neutral, and basically how that's going to work is you got these little jumpers over here. So L1 will go on this side, and then you'll have 2 coming out this side, and then you'll just take this little jumper and you shove it down here in the middle, and it connects the 2 together. And then you do one that connects these 2, and then another one that connects these 2. It's a pretty neat little thing. These aren't that much. This one pack was like $30, I think. So I spent a little extra to get the green. But if you get the 2, you get, you know, the different colors. I just want to coordinate because I'm just going to run the wires exactly the way they're run in the Victron inverter, so that all the colors are matching up and visual, and there's a lot, it'll be harder to make a mistake. And these actually don't fit in this box, so I'm just going to have to cut this off, and then we'll screw it down to the box, and then we'll work on the mounting holes. And these are the Dinkle DN10N, which they can hold up to, I think, max 60 amps, which we shouldn't be going over 50 amps, and 600 volts. And the max wire size is 6 gauge to 10 gauge, I believe. The smallest is 10, I think the biggest is 6. More than enough that we need for this system. Just like that, we're going to have probably one come in this way and then go into there. got these through-hole clamp connectors, which we'll just drill a hole in the box, and it screws in, just screws into that, put the wire through, and screw it down, and it clamps it on. Pretty simple. And see, we'll just do 2 on this side, and then we'll have 1 come on this side, and I'll show you when it's wrapped up. Each kit came with 8 of these jumpers, so I'm just going to use 2 each. It's just a way, so more connectivity is better than none. And you just put white, white, black, black, green, green, red, red, and all good. Okay, there's your finished product, and this line is like about 1 inch going in, and these are about 3/4 to 7/8 going in this side. And we're just going to secure these to the bottom with a couple of self-tapping screws. Another thing is you're going to want all these cables to be the equal length, just like we made these backup cables for the second inverter and this inverter, all the same length. You just want an equal distribution of the amperage. So they suggest you put them close together and you make the wires the same length. So even though they're a little staggered here, we're just going to make them the same, get it enough to wherever's going to be the longest run. And we're going to make 4 wires exactly the same length. What we're going to have to do is these ends we're going to make it kind of short. And these ends we're going to peel back about 8 inches, and then we're going to strip probably about 3/4 to 1 inch off of these one end, and then only about like a 1/2 inch off of these ends, because the Dinkle connectors, you don't need a lot of wire, about a 1/2 inch or less, probably like 3/8 is plenty, and to go into those connectors. But the connectors the side that you connect into the Victron, you need a lot of wire showing so that it makes a good connection. And see, these long ends go in the Victron, and these shorter ends, you'll see that you don't need a whole lot to go into that. It's just a real short run. So you need just enough to hit the back of that, just like that. And then you just tighten down the screw and it cinches it down. So we'll just make 4 of these that are identical. And remember, safety first, guys. Before you work on any of this stuff, make sure you turn off the breaker, unplug it, and disconnect your battery switch so that there's no power going to anything. I hate that they put the screws on the bottom of these things. They should have put them here. This is the power supply end, so we just got to pull this out and then reconnect it in this way. And this is going to be our in, and we'll pull this wire out here and then stick it in here, and that's going to be our wire to go out. So that's going to go down here, and then that's going to go down here, and then those two will go back to the shore and breaker. And these have these little pins where you just have to shove this thing in here, and then it'll let you release your cables. It just releases the tension off of them. And then when you put the new ones in, you just put it in and do the same thing. You stick that in and then shove them up there. So now I got these wired up. Now I just have to wire up into the inverter, and it's the same thing in reverse. You just push the pin up into this hole right here. You snug up the wire up in there all the way, and then you pull this out and it locks it in. Give it a good tug. Make sure it's nice and tight. All right, guys, we got it all connected. Those are done. Those are done. Those are done. And, you know, of course, we're still waiting on the other inverter. Next thing to do is to go turn the power on and make sure nothing blows up. So I'm pretty sure everything looks good. We'll give it a good test run here just in case. And then I'm going to go turn on. .50 amp. Power's on. All right, I'm putting a load test on this thing, and we should be seeing close to a little over 4,000 watts. So we're pulling about 4,000 watts right now, and it looks like everything is running smooth. Yeah, just right over 4,000 watts. And when I get the second inverter, see, that's 2 air conditionings and the microwave going, 4,100 watts. So when we get the second inverter, that would leave us about 700 watts of constant power that this thing can put. So it can pretty much do anything. The only thing that it would probably make it go over is if we're running a hair dryer at the same time right now, but there's no way that all 5 of those things are going to be going at the same time. So far looking good. And the last thing to do is just button everything up and wait for the other one to come. All right, guys, it's been a hot second, and we finally got the second inverter in, and we're ready to install that. Got the wires all prepped and everything. So finally it's here, it's going to get done, and we're going to basically have to just hook that up, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, and then we'll go through the Victron Connect app, and hopefully it should be pretty painless to set these up in parallel. Supposedly it is. They've updated the app, so it should be pretty painless, but if you know, we're going to find out. So let's go. All right, just got to get this bracket up here. I've already kind of marked it where it needs to go. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna shut the power off to everything. I already got the power off to the batteries, and I'm gonna shut the power off to shore power, so everything should be dead. Then we'll start putting the wires together. All right, we are going to hook up the wires for the inverter now to our distributor, and we're using 150 amp fuses because 24 volt times 150 amp is 3600 watts, and each inverter should not use any more power than that. It should only go up to 3000, but we don't want it to pop at 3000. If it gets up to 3000 and stays there for too long, then it'll probably pop this. So you usually set about 1.25 times what it's rated, max rating for is usually the standard, but like some things you want to be exact, other things you don't, but these are going to be 150 amp. And because 24 volt system, if it was a 12 volt system, you'd want a 300 amp. You have to double it, remember. And I got an extra piece left over from when I had it installed before. This is a 2-aught, it's way overkill, but we're going to use this for our chassis ground, which will go here, and we'll just tie it to this chassis ground over here. But, you know, this is way overkill, I know, but it's extra. I didn't have to buy another smaller wire for it, so it'll do the job. Now we're just going to wire up our parallel cables into the junction box. All right, now that we've got the parallel wires wired up inside the junction boxes, you know, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. I got them all color coordinated, nice and OCD there. Now it's time to install the wires into the other inverter. You know, one's in, one's out, pretty simple. We're just going to try to get in close here, and got 3 notifications: firmware incompatibility. Well, for some reason it wouldn't automatically detect an update, so I'm doing this one, updating this one individually first, and then seeing if it'll automatically connect. It's supposed to be super easy. You just plug it in, it recognizes both and asks you if you want to parallel it, and it's not doing that. So we'll go into it a little further. Okay, I've updated both of them. So let's see if it'll recognize what's going on. See, there we go. Now it's doing it. It's asking me, see, it's saying, hey, there's one more. Then go ZZZ. That's the password. Next. Preparing your system. Got everything connected. Searching. There it goes. I just had to update them, the one individually first. Kept it separate. See, it's asking for parallel. That's what we want. We want parallel. And then next. Start configuration. The one that's blinking, going to be the master. So the one that's blinking right now, we'll just click master. And then the other one should automatically become slave. Now it's resetting the system. Man, this was way easier than I thought it was going to be. It's finished, complete. And I'm pretty sure basically what it does is it takes the master and then just copies exactly onto the slave. But we are going to plug this back into the Turbo GX. We are going to test the system to make sure it's working right, and then I will close everything up. All right, we shut that off. Go back to the main page. So it's inverting. I don't know why it's not showing how much battery it has, but I don't know, maybe because powering down, turn everything off. It may take a minute for that to kick back on. But we're only pulling 90 watts right now. We're going to turn the ACs back on. Cool front. Cool. That's 2 ways. The fans are kicking on. Compressors kick on here in a minute. And when both of them kick on, we should get the overload button. But if it doesn't, that means we're good. We're golden. See, there we go. It's ramping up. Yeah, see, we're at 3,000 watts. No overload. 2,500 watts. So both ACs are working. I'm going to trust this more than this because this seems to be off for some reason. I don't know if it has something to do with the DC load, but DC load seems high, which it should not be that high. There's not that much DC going on. It's only a few lights. That's it. It looks like it's somehow reading down here when it should be up here. But we're pulling 2,600 watts from the batteries, and we are going to go over here, kick on the microwave. They had a Lily. And then now 4,500, 4,600 watts. And it should put 4,800 watts all day. That's 48. Oh man, it got a little high there, but 46. So should be able to run 3 big things at any given time. You can go up to 6,000 watts technically, but you don't want to run over 4,800 watts at a time. But like we're running 46, pulling 46 right here from the, but a little bit of that's DC load, but like for some reason these are not accurate. I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about that, but I trust this. 47. And no overload. Lights coming on. There's a little red light that'll blink over here if it's overloading. So it's, oh man, I think we did it. All right, guys, so we got it all together and it's all working perfectly. And the one safety factor that I need to mention is when I was, looking up information about how to run these things in parallel and how to connect these in junction boxes. There's several different ways you can run the wires in parallel in a junction box. And one of the big factors is you have to consider when you're building a junction box there is if you're going to use a power assist, like if you hook up to a 30 amp hookup on your RV and you have a 50 amp RV, these are pushing 6,000 VA, which is 50 amps together total. So if you combine that 50 amps with the 30 amps, it could possibly overload your neutral, where you could technically push 80 amps through your neutral and it could overload it and cause a fire. I talked to Nate with Explorers.life, and they sell a junction box with breakers in it. So just in case of that situation where you won't overload, it will cut off at 50 amps so you don't put more power to those wires than it can handle. So I've seen a few other people, like professionals on YouTube, that have YouTube channels that professionally install these, did not have breakers and these junction boxes in here. So I was like, well, are you guys concerned about overloading the neutral when you're doing power assist? And I talked to a few of them, and this is basically what I was told. They said, you really don't have to worry about it if you don't ever plan to, if you don't have enough equipment to go over 50 amps. Like with my 2 ACs, a hair dryer, and the microwave running, and the TV and internet and everything, I still probably am under 50 amps. I would basically have to have both ACs running, the heater on, the blow dryer, the microwave. Like, I'd have to have every single thing on in this RV, the washer and dryer, to basically overload. That's mainly for like bigger ones that have like 3 air conditioners, with a washer dryer inside and stuff like that. If you ever think you're going to go over basically 50 amps, I would install it. But we don't have that much stuff in here. And when we are hooked up to, this is another safety thing that you could probably do if you do power assist and hook up to 30 amps, just tell it to only input 10 amps. And then you should stay within, a realm of safety. So that's what I'm probably going to do. If we ever plug into 30 or something like that, or, we'll if we do power assist, we'll probably maybe max about 13 amps. So just take that into consideration. If you think you're going to be running heavy loads and using power assist, over there on Explorers.life, they have a junction box. It's $350. These were much cheaper than that. All of the components together in this was less than $100. If that's a concern of yours, that you might overload your neutral, go ahead and get it and do it. But I'm not really concerned about that. If I start seeing loads that are up higher, I can always pull this out and buy one and add it in. Hopefully we won't have that issue, and I just want to make sure that you guys were aware of it. That is a safety concern. All right, so we got this system. We're all done here, basically. The only thing left is solar, and I have plans for that. So if you're interested in that kind of mess, we are going to probably run a pretty big solar system. I think we're planning on about 2,500 watts. We're going to show you exactly how we do it step by step, how we're mounting it, how we're wiring it, or how we're hooking it up. I'll record everything and share it with you guys. So if you're interested in that mess, hit that subscribe button, notification bell, all that fancy jazz. And if this was helpful, please give this video a big thumbs up. It really helps spread to more people. And if you know somebody that's planning on doing a system like this, share it with them so they can see. Because like I looked and looked and looked and have not found a video that did as thorough install as this. I've seen so many videos out there that say, oh yeah, here, look at my parallel system. But they didn't show you. They didn't show you how they wired everything together. But hopefully this will help you. And I'll leave links to everything we used in the description area below. I'll leave it all down there for you guys in case you're interested. Thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week.